Good morning and welcome to Trade Setup right here on BloombergQuint. I'm Niraj Shah, and it's Friday before a long weekend. So, well, these days every day is like a weekend only, but nevertheless, let's get straight to it. Firstly, the coronavirus updates, and the news is grim, so I won't really spell too much into the nuances of which region has got what. But yes, the world tally of number of cases crosses the 1 million mark. It shouldn't surprise people because it was, well, with the pace at which it was going, it was probably only a matter of time. So it shouldn't come as a shock, but it's a milestone number of sorts and therefore important to point it out. And mind you, now we're talking about lockdowns and extensions thereof. Russia, and for people who don't know about this, Vladimir Putin yesterday has extended the Russian lockdown until April 30th. He's saying that Russia has not quite managed it well, even Moscow hasn't, and therefore the lockdown needs to be extended. So extensions are happening. While there are debates about whether there should be a lockdown or no in the first place, there are extensions that are happening as well. In news, as a result of coronavirus, the impact that's having on frontline businesses and jobs, well, the US, the mother market, the jobless claims. Remember, we were speaking about these last week as well, that the number was very high, over 3 million. Now, the jobless claims surge. The tally is 10 million in 2 weeks. The number of jobless claims in the reported numbers on Thursday went up to almost 6 million. This is a record number of sorts that anybody in the US markets has seen in a really, really long time. It just shows the number of jobs that are getting lost and shouldn't surprise anybody again, but the numbers are slightly worrying. And across the world, it's happening. We're talking about aviation sector seeing impact, Emirates, etc., all doing that. British Airways has furloughed 30,000 staff and cut pay of most of them as well. So yes, there are pain points and pressure points throughout the world economy and businesses. But what was actually doing a completely contrasting move was oil. And Donald Trump saying that Saudis and Russia are going to have a conversation and there will be a cut. We do not, at least the last time that Bloomberg reported the story, they did not have a confirmation of how exactly this will shape up. But those comments alone got oil to bounce back. So it had anyways bounced back a little bit earlier, remember, earlier this week, and now in trade yesterday, it really showed a sharp uptick. So crude oil is certainly on its way up, and that actually led the US markets and the European markets to do not all that poorly in trade yesterday. The futures as of now are showing a slight of mild downtick, at least the last time that I checked the US futures, that is. So you don't have the most negative of cues, you don't have the most positive of cues as well. Asia too, a bit of a mixed bag, a bit of green, you would have to say, led no doubt by what happened to crude, but it was a bit of a mixed bag again the last time I saw. And we were shut yesterday, so the SGX Nifty levels actually indicate a start which might be tepid for our markets in the session today, and frankly that shouldn't surprise anybody. Frankly, if you just look at our trade setup, while we may have a flat start, it might be deceptive for what could happen to trade during the course of the day, simply because we have a long weekend coming up and people might not want to be in excessively large positions. So let's wait and watch how it shapes up. I think most market participants that I spoke to, and I spoke to a few fund managers yesterday, money managers yesterday, they were all disappointed with the pace at which the fiscal reforms are coming out of the country, that is India, and that has left a bit of a sour taste. The monetary pace has been excellent. The RBI has done much more than what people anticipated, but the pace of the fiscal stimulus, if any for corporate India, seems to be a bit lacking. And the FI selling continues unabated. With the 1,000 crores that they sold yesterday, FIs have cumulatively sold over $1 billion in this week alone. So last week, the tapering down of the flows was a false alarm of sorts. They've sold $1 billion in 3 days alone. Okay, what does this do? All of this do for stocks? There are a bunch of companies that you should monitor in the session today. I'll read out a few, which I think are important. Aurobindo Pharma, the deal to acquire the US generic oral solids and dermat business of Sandoz has been mutually terminated. Now, without getting into the long and short of it, we'll discuss this in open. But Citi and Credit Suisse have cut the target on the stock on the deal termination. Some other analysts have actually said that the leverage concerns are easing and therefore they're happy. But maybe Aurobindo Pharma could have a negative reaction today. Tata Motors, the domestic sales were down 84% at 11,000 units versus an estimate of 27,000 units. The company's in fact gone ahead and said that they'll stop reporting the wholesale numbers from next month, the monthly wholesale numbers. Speaking of autos, all the other three majors came out with numbers which were below estimates. So Eicher Motors, Hero MotoCorp, TVS Motors, the two-wheeler companies, all the numbers, the monthly sales numbers were below estimates. And the reason this is important because Hero and Bajaj were in the green, remember, in Wednesday's session, but Hero numbers too have disappointed. So do watch out for that one. The March sales for Hero MotoCorp, I think, were down 42% at 3,34,000. The estimates were about 3,37,000. Let's wait and watch how this one reacts. Royal Enfield had an even bigger drop. Strides would be an interesting stock to monitor because the US FDA has issued letters to all manufacturers of ranitidine. This is something that a lot of Indian pharma companies, but Strides in particular, has a large production of. And if these products are taken off the shelves and therefore they stopped getting supplied to the US and maybe the other markets in due course, this could be a big negative for Strides. So do watch out for this one as well. Lastly, RBL Bank, and it's an important one because they've come out with the Q4 updates. It doesn't seem all that bad compared to what people would have feared because the Q4 deposits have fallen 8% quarter on quarter, which is not small, but it's 8%. Some other banks have even shown more. And again, this is largely bulk deposits from a few state governments and corporates, so shouldn't surprise anybody. It's happened with IndusInd Bank as well. Q4 slippages, however, they say would be lower quarter on quarter because the asset quality of some of the other corporates were not all that bad, and they believe that there will be some increase in slippages in the SME and the retail segment, largely owing to the lockdown. So again, shouldn't surprise anybody. Lastly, I just want to leave you with two updates from the government side. One, banks will start the cash transfers to Jan Dhan accounts of women starting today. So that's an important one. And Prime Minister Modi will be talking to all of us at 9 a.m. today. We will be there to bring you all that he says at 9 a.m. So you have to stay tuned to BloombergQuint Live for that as well. And it could be an important message. Short one, but an important one. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Trade Setup today.
According to a recent report, women today contribute nearly 74%